even though the US president slammed the Supreme Court's ruling that struck down his global tariffs, Washington has for now rolled out a new across-the-board import tariff, and that's a 10% tariff on goods not covered by exemptions, which took effect yesterday, that's Tuesday, according to US Customs and Border Protection. Now, the rate matches President Donald Trump's initial announcement on Friday, but not the 15% he later signaled. More details in this next report.
The US imposed a new tariff from Tuesday of 10% on all goods not covered by exemptions. That was according to the US Customs and Border Protection. Last week, the US Supreme Court threw out President Donald Trump's tariffs, which it deemed were illegally justified on grounds of an emergency. In reaction, Trump initially announced a new temporary global tariff of 10%, but by Saturday he said he would increase it to 15%. The move back to 10% added to confusion surrounding US trade policy. The Financial Times quoted a White House official as saying the increase of up to 15% would come later. Reuters could not immediately confirm this. One bank said in a note that Trump's State of the Union address on Tuesday evening may give a better sense of next steps. The new tariffs took effect at midnight, while collection of the tariffs annulled by the Supreme Court was halted. They had ranged from 10 to as much as 50%. It remains unclear whether and how companies will be refunded for those tariff payments. On Monday, Trump warned countries against backing away from any previously negotiated trade deals with the US, and warning he would hit them with much higher duties under different laws.
And what do these 10% tariffs mean for India, and what really happens to the interim trade deal framework that India and the US had agreed on? Well, India's trade talks with the United States remain on pause, at least for now. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal has said India will resume trade negotiations with Washington as soon as there is greater clarity on the evolving tariff situation in the US. Now, the comments come days after India and the US decided to reschedule a key meeting between their chief negotiators, originally planned in Washington, to finalize the text of an interim trade pact. Now, the Indian delegation had been set to begin a 3-day round of talks on February 23rd, but uncertainty around US tariff policy has prompted both sides to hold off for the moment. Goyal also said the government is consulting industry stakeholders and remains open to recalibrating the framework in line with changing economic realities. However, Goyal indicated that New Delhi is considering ways to attract better technology and investment flows, even as it safeguards domestic interests. Any change, he said, is likely to be gradual and calibrated. Piyush Goyal also emphasized that investments from China are not banned but subject to approval, adding that the government's immediate focus is to streamline the process and make it easier for companies to collaborate, expand value chains, and deepen technology partnerships.